Wolves are back in the Premiership, and they're back in a big way. They're going to be a team to watch in the next season. And on today's show, on getting started with, we're going to work with Wolves. They spent 33 million on one day only to make permanent the loan signings of three players: Benik Afobe, Willy Boli, and Diogo Jota. Under their manager Nuno Espirito Santo, they're a team to watch in the upcoming season in the Premiership. First, we'll take a look at Wolves' style of play in the Championship. We're not promising that we are going to replicate how they play, but we're going to try and adapt some of the principles of their style of play where we can. Wolves sets up in a 3-4-3 that can also swap into a 5-4-1 when they're defending. The team likes to press hard in their own opposition. If the opposition miscontrols possession of the ball, or if they are facing their own goal. And one thing about Wolves, they like to press when the ball is out wide as well. Wolves keeps control of the ball really well by having players in key positions across the pitch. The front three contribute to midfield transitions. When the opposition is attacking through the middle, they support central midfielders, and when the opposition is going down wide, they support the wing backs in wider areas of the play. Wolves defaults into a 5-4-1 when they defend because they have a particular way they want to control how the opposition plays with the ball. The whole idea here is to funnel play through the middle. When that happens, their central midfielders come in hard on opposition players. This also allows the central defender to initiate counter-attacks. Wolves uses the wing-back and the wide attacking players to work the ball up the pitch. The wide attacking player will run to the flanks, drawing defenders to him, while laying off passes to the wing-back who can cut inside, while the wide attacking player can either cut inside himself and become a goal threat or dropping crosses. The wingback on the left has freedom to attack down the pitch. He can also play direct passes or passes into space towards the central midfielders, the striker, or down the flanks for the attacking midfielder. Wolves' two central midfielders are equally confident playing short, simple passes with their players around them, or when the opportunity presents itself, they can play direct passes into space with their wingbacks or their wider players to attack. Wolves plays a really interesting style of football, and in order for us to be able to try and make certain systems play like the way Wolves play, we need to understand what they are trying to do on the pitch. So they have various styles that are easily achievable by the team. The question is, can we do the same thing in Football Manager? The first thing we're going to do is we need to understand the expectations of the board. This is straight off the bat at the start of the game. The board will set them up for you. This affects your wage budget. With this club, it's pretty standard. I've gone for promotion, and the rest of them were just rudimentary targets that I accepted. Part 2, find out your staff shortages. We have the ability to fill up 3 for coaching, 4 for scouting, and 2 for the medical staff. Getting more medical staff just helps you reduce the recovery time for injuries sometimes. Then I also like to set up my friendlies. The players aren't back yet, but the first thing I do is I look at the calendar and I will put in friendlies. Now, I believe in setting up friendlies with teams that are comparable or even better than you, because there's no point playing with shitty teams just to get your morale up if you haven't played with this team before. So you want to get reasonably good teams out there. Go out there, try your tactics out, try your system out, try your players out, and see whether you have any major shortfalls that you need to worry about. Because the following season, you're going to get promoted to the Premiership. So this is the best time for you to find out how you stack up against the rest of the league in the Championship. Next thing you want to do is head on down to training, look at your coaches, and see whether there are any gaps that need to be filled up. Now, as we see in this club, there are some areas of concern. So as we go through all these coaches, you will notice the contracts when they're terminating. It's not a good idea to terminate their contracts now, because it's just going to add on to cost. If you can afford it, if you want to play that kind of a game, by all means, fire all of them and go out there and hire the best coaches you can find. Problem is going to be you're going to have a challenge, because some of the better coaches are not going to come. Not just yet. So what you want to do is you want to handle shortfalls first. And if you look at the first shortfall, it's going to be goalkeeping. Now, goalkeeping here, we've got one coach who's potentially a 5-star. He's split across 3 areas. When we reduce those 2 areas, he's a 5-star there. So what can we do? We can go out there, hire one more goalkeeping coach. Then get this guy to split the load. So the other second goalkeeping coach can work on another category, or maybe even split into 2. So we have options here. That's the first target, a goalkeeping coach. The second target is going to be a regular coach, because we need to improve the other technical areas of our players' attribute development. And at the moment, most of our coaches are only giving us 2 stars. If you can get at least 2 categories up, that will solve us a lot of issues. Player development will be better. We'll be in a nice position when the season starts. We have set up an advanced search filter for looking for a coach, a goalkeeping coach. And as you can see, nobody wants to come until we start dropping some of the attributes. This is the reason why I don't recommend firing your coaches immediately. Go and find the coaches that you need before deciding who you want to terminate. So here we go. We found ourselves a coach. We're going to offer him a contract and kick things off. You're also going to get reports from your assistant manager on player development. What you want to do is check his judging player ability. If it's 16, you probably want to listen to him. However, when they talk about retraining a player or giving him a new player trait, what you want to do is consider the request and then base your decisions entirely on the way you play your game. So don't go out there and simply give players player traits without understanding how they can impact the tactic. So while the assistant manager's advice on player development can be helpful, you need to understand when and when not to take it. Simplify the game as well. Whenever you get pre-match tactical briefing reminders, hit this button. It says skip. You will receive loan offers as well. Reject all of them until you've decided who your starting 11 are going to be and who are the substitutes that can take over those positions. Visit the board and ask the board to increase the number of staff you have at the club. We've already done that, and the board has come back and has given us an extra slot, which will allow us to go and find one more coach. If he doesn't want to sign for you and you find that he's resisting, give him something that's a bit harder to achieve, like winning the FA Cup. You'll also get notifications on contracts that are going to be expiring. If you're not sure, sort them out by potential and then just trigger their extensions. It makes it easier for you to start the season quickly and not worry about who's good enough in the team. For the rest, you should be very careful. Now, don't renegotiate the contracts of all the staff just yet. Make sure that you have hired all your coaches first, and then negotiate contractual terms with the remaining staff that are still on board. By the time you get to 2nd July, you should have enough coaches to cover every area of training to improve the quality of training. The only concern you might have is you're short of just one more coach so that you can increase the quality of general training. That is something that you'll need to pay attention to as the season progresses, and that you can improve by continually going up to the board whenever the chance presents itself to ask for more coaches. All you need is one. With all that done, you can focus on preseason and getting your tactic to work the way you want it to. So in preseason, I'll typically set up all these tough little away matches. So in preseason, I'll typically set up a whole slew of matches to try different things out. I'll be making sure not to get my players injured. The whole goal here is to try different kinds of players out in the system and to also try different systems. So we've got one here which is basically a 5-2-2-1. Then we've got another one here which plays Kawadi as a halfback for a more aggressive style of play. And finally, the most aggressive system, which has got 3 strikers all attacking. However, in this particular system, we do not expect the wider players to come back and defend. Ideally, then what I'll be doing here in this system is to try something like this, where we have them playing off each other with a fair bit of movement in the final third. Pre-season, I'm looking to achieve the things that I'm set out for, which is the flank press. We're using my players. I don't want my central midfielders to be closing down unnecessarily. We want to funnel the ball through the middle. In attack, I'm looking to see how we move the ball in the final third. More importantly, I'm trying to get Kawadi to be a bit more dynamic in the system. Here, I'm trying to get Kawadi to be a bit more aggressive, high up the pitch in this variation of the system. First version of the tactic, we concede 2 goals. So what I do is I switch to another version of the tactic to see whether we can do a better job defensively. In this one, we are playing with orthodox 3. I'm looking at how flat and how nicely we're defending, preventing the opposition from having easy passing lines. When the opposition fails for the transition and we win the ball, then I will understand whether we require some of our players to be given direct and risky passes. Move the ball up the pitch. I'm looking at how my wing backs bring the ball up, whether my central defender is in a good position from an attacking point of view, and then I'll be looking on the left flank as well when we do a similar transition down the left. You need good teams to test your transitions out with. So here we've recycled possession. We're working the ball back to the keeper from our defense. Here I'm looking at the movement of my wing back, my central midfielder, and my inside forward. I need to be able to see that my wing back gets into attacking positions as well. So he drops, and there he is. He's gone forward. A transfer strategy that you may need to adopt is looking for cover for your two wing back positions. A Courtney House will be injured for about 2 months when the season starts. On the right flank, you have no cover. And the only other player that could be used is away on loan. Dominic Iofa is away on loan. So a good strategy here would definitely be to look for cover for those positions. With the right filters, you'll probably be able to find some decent players out there who are willing to join Wolverhampton Wanderers, including Greg Cunningham, Danny Lafferty, and Scott Goulburn. You'll also be able to find other fullbacks that can be playing on the right flank too. One thing that you're going to have to be concerned about is fixture congestion. Before I get into the hair-raising experience of using my tactics, you're going to have to consider that when you start the save, you're going to have to be giving your players rest days. You're going to have to manage your training loads, because the intensity at which some of these tactics are being played at might lead to injuries. So you're going to have to manage your training very well. Training, personally, I will be sending training on average, so that we can get medium overall workloads, rest days after match. You can either drop this down to low once the intensity starts to build up. Attacking movement, defensive positioning, attacking set pieces, defensive set pieces is all up to you. But once the season is off and running, we definitely are just going to stick to one of these four over here. Teamwork and match tactics, they're not going to be very important once the season starts. The other thing that I would recommend people do when they take a save like this is go through a training and then start sorting everybody out. Like for my youth squads, 23 and under 18 squads, what I sometimes like to do is I'll give everybody a standard kind of training. You want to make sure that this is not, you don't have any players here who are very heavy. That's going to lead to injuries. As you can see, we've got quite a number of youngsters who are injured, but they were injured before I got my hands on them. So it's not my fault. Here we go. Handling for the keepers been given handling. Defenders all been given positioning, because these guys are just young. So they got a long way to go. They got a lot of attributes they need to develop anyway. So we've given them specific kinds of development targets, and we're just going to monitor them from a distance. Once every 6 months, once every 3 months or so, I'll check them. And that's when I'll start changing them as a group as well, so it's easier for me to manage. When it comes to the senior squad, things are not the same. When it comes to the senior squad, it's all about giving everybody the right kind of training. So we haven't really, for some of them, we haven't given them any personal training, but we are going to be giving, for example, here we got John Ruddy, right? The way we play our game, there's going to be a lot of crosses that are going to arrive into the box. So the first thing I'm going to do for all my keepers, without a shadow of a doubt, is work on handling. Right? That you can work on jumping reach, but that's not, I mean, I wouldn't bother. I would just work on handling. So, for example, this central defender, his name is Danny Barth. He's also the captain of the team, because we're going to be playing a relatively aggressive tactic. His marking and tackling going to be very important. So we're going to be focusing on him, working on his marking. Ryan Bennett, he's a rotational player at best in this team. Because of his weak jumping reach, he's probably covered for Connor Kawadi as the ball-playing defender. So you'll be looking at passing vision and decisions. Unfortunately, vision is a really poor attribute for him. So he might be covered. So yeah, I would definitely start working on tackling. As far as the rest of the defenders are concerned, when you go to the defending, you'll be choosing to enhance certain areas of the game. There are several ways we can set up a tactic with Wolves. Now, the more orthodox way is to set it up like this with the DLFS up top, inside forward on the left flank, a winger on the right flank, a carry Relo here, a DLP here, a wing back over here, who's been told to close down more, so that he will. This guy's closing it out should be much more maxed out. Now there's going to be a danger that they'll track their targets all over the pitch, but we want them to close fairly high up the pitch. That is the inherent risk with this tactic, because these guys are punching up so high up the pitch. If they get dragged across, you will leave pockets of space on the flanks, which has happened a few times with Wolves themselves. At the back, we have 3 central defenders, all told to tackle harder, mark tighter, and pass it shorter, which also can be risky, because in the game in real life, they actually tackle quite hard in their third. So this is going to be one way of doing it. Now, I will recommend removing look for overlap. You can use look for overlap, but this is going to push them even higher. The problem with look for overlap in this situation is the fact that you don't really have protection in this position. You need these 2 guys to be closing down, but you can't get them tracking around too much, which is the other problem with a tactic like this. Although you can get lots of wonderful movement in the engine, which replicates some of the movement that they do in real life, you have two fundamental problems. First, they don't sit into these positions to close down central midfielders. They normally stay out wide, which leads to some doubling up on the flanks once in a while, leaving your center actually vulnerable, when in reality what you need to do is, while you can draw the AI in here, you still need these 2 guys to do a lot of work. This can be a tactic they use, but you have to understand the weaknesses. The other version of this tactic is actually something that I have used, and it gives me several options. Now, you could also set it up like this. You'll end up playing almost the same way. However, you have more options. Here, the complete wing backs can go bombing up and down the flanks. They will be very big threats down the flanks. You got Volante and a DM on support. Here, the DM hasn't been told to get further forward, and the Volante has also not been told to get further forward. We're trying to get them to hold the middle more than anything else. Then we got complete wing backs on left and right who are charging down the flanks with these play instructions. Up top, we have a combination of a DLFS, a shadow striker, and an attacking midfield. On attack is going to be moving through channels and attacking the spaces. This will replicate some of the central movement that they get in their tactics. Now, if you wanted to quickly change this on the fly, it's possible as well. So all you have to do is do this. All you have to do is turn this guy into inside forward and support, and you get another. You get another kind of a tactic, almost the same, but here you'll have to close down, mark tighter, and on the right flank, close down, mark tighter, and tackle harder. This will give you the forward press that you need for them to put pressure on the opposite wing backs. Both these tactics can work. We've used them in we've basically been using them for the first few matches of the season. However, it's unnerving because there are times when we feel a bit weak. So what else can you do? Well, you can go a more orthodox route. Here we have a halfback with a drop, giving us the 3 wing backs bombing up the flanks. We've got a wing on this side. We've got inside forward attacking this side, DLF on this side with Naves playing in this area. This is a more friendly version for Football Manager. Another version of this tactic will probably be to set it up quasi like the Red Pharaoh tactic I set up for Liverpool. However, instead of playing flat 3, you play with the 1, so that you can still get that 3-man back line or dropping into occasional 5. And then these guys will drop in forming a 4, so you get more like a 4-3-1-2. This is the interesting thing about Wolves. They have actually got quite a number of fast players who can play as advanced forwards. So you have this option. We will be starting a save with Wolves very, very soon. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. It's Twitter at Bustthenet or addictedtofm.com, my website. Once again, I'd like to thank all my patrons for their continued support of this channel. You make these kind of shows possible for the rest of the community. And don't forget, there's a more light-hearted version of these shows where I don't take things so seriously. You can find me on Twitch. Bye-bye.